All right, amazing traders. It's another beautiful week, and it's super amazing to be here again. So I promised you guys after our weekly market outlook that I was going to put up a video for you guys. I know it's been a while. We posted our weekly market outlook on the YouTube channel. But without any further ado, let's quickly get into business. But before I do that, please, my name is 𝗦𝗛𝗏𝗧, okay? So just a formal introduction, by the way, there. All right, so let's quickly look at the economic calendar for the week and what we will be expecting to play out, okay? So today, Monday, July 14th, is void of all high impact expected news. We only have a French bank holiday, okay? So that would be not even significantly, but at least that will be slightly affecting the euro, okay? So we basically look at the euro and see that that will be affecting it, okay? And going forward on Tuesday, yes, we have the CPI news year on year, month on month for the US dollar. And of course, that is coming by 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday. That will be tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Nigerian time, okay? Pending from where you're watching from, you can always go find a way to, change the time zone to what suits you, okay? Depending on where you're watching from. I think you can change the time zone. Let me just quickly look for that and let you know where you can change the time zone, okay? Okay. Look at it over here, okay? You can see here, so this is GMT plus one, that's the West Central African time, right? So if you click here, you can find your time because I'm saying this because you might be watching from anywhere around Africa and also outside of Africa, okay? India, Sydney, Australia, US, all right? So look well to find a time zone that, yeah, basically works for you. So let's quickly go ahead. Yeah. So yes, on Tuesday, the major focus for Tuesday is going to be the CPI data that we will be expecting, all right, for CAD and as well for the US. Okay. Those are the significant data we will be expecting for Tuesday. So moving forward to Wednesday, on Wednesday, we're expecting also CPI data coming out from the Great Britain, okay? And that would be 7 a.m. Nigerian time, just the perfect time. As you're waking up from bed, you probably will be running into some huge profits, all right? So I encourage you to plan your trades accordingly so you don't get to wake up in the morning and the trade you placed on Tuesday before you slept is running in some huge losses, okay? So 1:30 p.m., we're going to also be having the core PPI copy PI data is coming out from US. Okay. And then on Thursday, we have by 2:30 a.m. Nigerian time, 2:30 a.m. All right. So yeah, the ninth crawlers will still probably be awake. We're expecting the employment change coming out from Australia. And then by 1:30 p.m., we're going to have unemployment claims as well. So basically, for this week, what we're most of the attention is most likely to be on CAD and USD on Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. And then, of course, another attention is most likely going to be on the unemployment claims, all right, for 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, all right? That does not mean the other ones are not important. They are obviously important, but this is where the attention most likely is going to be. So let's quickly go over now to the dollar index. Let's go see what has been happening to the dollar index. And by the way, BTC is an all-time high, okay? BTC is an all-time high. That is very, very significant and monumental. Okay. Let's quickly look at the BTC. Sorry, let's quickly look at the dollar index on the higher time frame. Okay. So for those of you that have been following me, you know that I've been looking at the dollar index basically on this trend line channel. Yeah. And on this trend line channel, price had been respecting it very well, at least since 2008, 2009 period. So upper channel, lower channel, and let's just come back to this zone, okay? So here, basically, why I am looking at prices coming into this zone is simply because this zone is a very, very significant reference point. That's simply because we've seen that prices first came into this zone, was repelled, all right, and then prices broke into this zone. It acted as a support on countless occasions. Yeah, it acted as a support on countless occasions before prices broke below it. When it broke above it again, it counted as a support, and then you can see how price rallied. All right. So without saying much, right, we would most likely be looking at this zone as a very, very significant area for us. And I try to understand the momentum in the market. Okay. I also try to understand the momentum in the market. Although price had bounced off from this lower channel, okay? Price had bounced off from the part of the lower channel, the trend line channel, right? And of course, we've also seen some bullish confirmations on the monthly time frame. But then don't forget our monumental support area is still slightly below, okay? Our monumental support area is still slightly below, except we would be considering the whole of this level here, right? That's probably when we can say that it had been respected. But that notwithstanding, I'm not just going to rely solely on these zones that have been drawn, all right? I'm not going to solely rely on them. What I'll be looking out for is some reversal formations to actually occur on that area before I run into conclusion that price is ready to go bullish. For now, price is not ready to go bullish because what I can see on the daily time frame is simply a bearish order flow, okay? A bearish order flow with no significant market shift in structure, all right? Market had been respecting lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, okay? Let me just quickly show you that, right? So price had been respecting the lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, again lower low, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Basically this is what price had been doing, okay? So we're expecting, yeah, a push here. You can see that here. So a push here and most likely above and boom. Okay, so this is apparently what I'm expecting. So this is apparently what I'm expecting to play out. Okay, you can see how I did not even plan this here. I did not even plan this, but you can see how nicely this worked out. So most likely price coming back, break the trend line. All right, trend line breakout, coming back to retest, and boom, it begins to bull. So it simply means that for me, in my own bias and my own look of things, I am still expecting for a little more sell, a little more push to the downside on the dollar index. And I've just shown you one of the reasons because the bearish order flow, there is no significant shift in market structure. It's still obeying the order flow, okay? And not only that, you can see that every single time prices wishes to drop to go in the path of least resistance, it was always very significant, okay? Every time prices wishes to sell, that is in the direction of the prevailing trend, it was always very monumental, okay? Well, always very monumental. But then anytime prices wishes to rise, all right, it's a bit of a struggle. Can you see that? The bulls struggle to push prices upward. Here again, they struggle to push prices upward. And the same pattern we have seen, prices are the bulls are still struggling again one more time to push prices here upward. All right. So that being said, it's a little more kind of obvious that we will be expecting most likely one more sell and then before we see major shift in market structure. But peradventure that sell do not come. What am I expecting? I'm expecting that bulls should come with force, break above this point here, then retrace back and then we can consider a bullish move to the upside. Okay, so that's basically what I'm expecting. Now, last but not the least, so that we can seal it on the dollar index. All right, we can seal it on the dollar index. So on this dollar index here, what I'm just basically saying is very simple, guys. This is just a bearish continuation, right? If you look at it on the 4 hourly time frame, it's just a bearish confirmation. So yeah, here I can find a mitigation block, okay? I can find a mitigation block on the 4 hourly time frame. And of course, that's almost blending with the trend line that we have outlined here. So it's more like a double confluence, so to say, that we have a trend line that most likely could be respected. And we also have what? A mitigation zone here, okay? So, yeah. So this, sorry, another block, yeah, it can still be called, a, it can still be called a breaker block, right? I think this is a breaker block, right? Well, if you, I can't seem to remember, but if you think you know, just let me know in the comment section. But whether breaker block or mitigation block, it's actually a very good zone for us to want to consider that this is most likely going to lose bullish momentum and then, go all the way down, okay? All the way down. So we're not trading the dollar index. We're only looking at the dollar index for us to be able to understand how we can trade the other pairs that are paired with the dollar index itself, right? So that's the reason why we would most likely then go back up, right? Don't forget also, aside this level here, there are still some other key level, like the whole of this imbalance here. Ooh, the whole of this imbalance is also something for us to consider. So yes, it's still possible that, and the whole of the imbalance is still below these major swing points where we expect major structure shifts, right? So we can still expect that prices can still drive into this zone before going back below, all right? It's still very possible to do that, all right? Especially that this whole liquidity magnet that we find here is still below this major market structure shift zone, okay? So that being said, we might experience a little bullish push and then a major drop again in the dollar index. All right. So with that, we quickly just go over to GBP USD. So let's see how we can blend our idea on the dollar index and then go over to trade the other pairs. Okay. So on GBP USD, apparently I was expecting that price was going to come back into this zone, all right, and then quickly come into this zone before coming back to this liquidity magnet. You remember last week I dropped this particular trade setup for us early last week on our Telegram channel, and apparently price did not come into this zone. That was really disappointing, but there's nothing to worry about. So let's quickly look at it now. This was a liquidity magnet like the fair value gap and the other block that I earlier mentioned, and price had come tapped into this fair value gap, right? Can you see the 50% of the fair value gap called the consequent encroachment, right? And most likely, my opinion is this. So first and foremost, there was liquidity here, which was swept. So that's liquidity, a sell side liquidity, a buy side liquidity that was swept. Then there was a major shift in market structure. All right, we can consider this as a major sweep, the major shift in market structure, or we can, most likely want to come consider this one here. All right, so this is the one that you call, I think, transactional liquidity. Yeah. So this is the one that some people call transactional liquidity or change of character. And then, here we have some structural liquidity. All right. So we hope that this structural liquidity should also be swept. Okay. We hope that this structural liquidity should also be swept. So if this structural liquidity is swept, then we can be safe. Then we can see that this top here is now a protected top, okay? So this top here becomes now a protected top. This particular top here becomes a protected top. So until this, now that we've seen structural liquidity, it's a protected top. And then, right, we will be expecting that prices should now, from this zone, come back into this level here, sweep this structural liquidity, come into this level. I marked this zone because it's a fair value gap. Can you see that? So, and then come back below, okay? Come back below. So let me arrange this, sorry. So I expected this to happen, okay? So prices from this liquidity magnet, all right, buyers are already locked in around this zone, and then we can most likely see that buyers move up. And that's what I was telling you, that we can most likely see the dollar begin to sell off from this zone. Okay, so it marries everything. We can see the dollar begin to sell off from this zone. But if the dollar doesn't sell off from this zone, then it can make one more push, come into this zone here, this fair value gap here, or this whole imbalance here. All right, they can come into this zone and then begin to sell off. All right, so either cases, right, this is going to move bullish from here, or if the dollar decides to do one more swing of bullish push before the sell, then we can most likely see GBP USD coming down to this other block. All right, so one more bullish swing on DXY can cause a sell-off on GBP USD. It comes into these other blocks, picks us up, come into this zone, and then from that zone we come. So that's why you see here I've marked out two trade setups. All right, I've marked out two trade setups. The first trade setup is prices coming into this other block because we know that this our structural liquidity should be swept. So we're waiting patiently for it. All right, and this is a whole reversal model, right? The impulsive move that caused the sweep in change in market structure, all right, to the corrective move. We're expecting the corrective move, and then we can then go continuation. So the corrective move and the continuation are both what we are considering to trade. Okay, so you can look at the zones, right? While you're watching this video, look at the zones, mark them out on your own chart, and then you can also trade them as well. All right, so the same applies for Euro USD, GBP, and NZD USD, and so much more like that. Okay, so let me just quickly show you this one. Yeah, let me just quickly show you this one. So apparently there is an order block here, and just above that order block here, we have a fair value gap. Okay, so at least two significant points for us to want to consider on the 4-hourly time frame. All right, so we're still expecting that the Euro USD, all right, the Euro USD is most likely going to fall back into the zone and begin to go back up. Okay, exactly what we're expecting on GBP USD, right? Yeah, exactly what we're expecting on GBP USD. You can see that the momentum on the bearish candles, all right, that's the retracement are there's no significant momentum, right? Let me just put it that way. There is no significant momentum. It simply means that most likely if it struggles to get to this zone, buyers are already looking to push prices up. Take a look at this. All right. Now compare this. Sorry, let me put it green. All right. Now compare this significant bullish move to this retracement. What's the monumental thing you can discover there? What's the phenomenal thing you can discover there? There is what momentum, because price is trading in the path of least resistance. Okay. Price is trading in the path of least resistance. And sorry about that. Just give me a second. Just a second here. All right, so sorry guys. Um, so yes. So that simply tells you that price is still trading in the path of least resistance, which is what the bullish push. All right, I do not have all of the time, and I don't want this video to be too long, but on the yes, on the weekly time frame as well. All right, I consider this anywhere around this zone as my points of interest, especially that I see liquidity being purged. I see this structure being taken out. This is my structural liquidity here. All right. And then I expect most likely that, okay, so I expect that most likely prices should drive into this fair value gap or anywhere around this zone here. All right. So yes, 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 yes. Okay, so let me just quickly show you one thing. Yeah, I would not want to take any trade that is not, if I'm considering a sell, right? If I'm considering a sell, let me take that out. Let me show you now. If I'm considering a sell, I would not want to take any trade that is not within my premium zone. Yeah. And if you look very well, this particular fair value gap that I have here is within my premium zone. So most likely that is the liquidity magnet calling Euro USD to still go bullish. And definitely that's where price is going in the coming weeks. So what do we want to do? We still want to find buy opportunities that can drive prices into this zone before we finally look out for sell opportunities. And of course, that's the reason why on the 4 hourly time frame, yes, I will be looking at either this fair value gap here or this other block. Prices should come into them, right? Prices should come into them and then activate us and push us up. All right. So if you're able to catch this, then you might be lucky to get a 1:6 or 1:to even 20 risk to reward. All right. So I'm just showing you all of the breakdowns, right? As the trades play out, I'll most likely be posting some of them on the Telegram group. Okay, like I said, I don't want this video to be too long, but I would have loved to show you the same concepts that I am looking at on NZD/USD. It's the same concepts here. I'm expecting a bullish push. All right, clear out this liquidity resting here, come into the zone, tap us up and drop. Okay, the same for AUD/USD, right? The same for AUD/USD. All right. So now let me just quickly give you two or three more and then we go. Okay. So I'll start with Euro AUD. Okay. I'll start with Euro AUD. Also on Euro AUD, I've also been able to map out some of the zones. Okay. I've also been able to map out some of the zones. Now, why I'm looking at this on Euro AUD is simply because first and foremost, there's a liquidity here. All right, there's a liquidity here, or there's an imbalance, which is more like a liquidity magnet that will be calling prices to get to this zone. Okay, they will be calling, they will be calling prices to get to that particular zone. But let's look at it on a two-way round. Okay, let's look at it on a two-way round. So first and foremost, the whole of the liquidity resting here was purged. Okay, so that's what we call the buy side liquidity, yes, right? And then more so, we find that the major market shift in market structure also happened around here, right? Shift in market structure happened around there. And then, of course, here we have our structural liquidity, all right? So yeah, this zone is also another liquidity zone, all right? So what is going to happen is most likely we can find prices driving into this zone and, shorting. So let me use my Fibonacci tool and I want to find out if this particular zone will be good for a sell. Okay, so yes, I'm taking from here to this leg that caused the shift in market structure. So you see the structural liquidity is very close to 50% the Fibonacci level. All right. So anything within this level here is what I'll be expecting that prices will drive into and sell off. Now, that's number one. The number two thing that I'm also looking at is that the same pattern is playing out here. All right. A little liquidity was purged here. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry, a little liquidity was purged here. And then, of course, we had this shift in market structure here. Can you see that? We had this shift in market structure. See this shift in market structure here. All right. And then after that, we can most likely consider this as the structural liquidity, but all right, it is not so clear. Let's step down to the 1 hourly time frame. All right, let's step down to the 1 hourly time frame. All right, all right, all right. So this is it on the 1 hourly time frame, but this level is very far away from our low here. Okay, so we are most likely considering that price will come into this Quasimodo reversal level or even this fair value gap here. Okay, that's where we're expecting that most likely price will fall into. Okay, let me try to watch the momentum now on the time frames. All right, so this buy momentum we see here might be short-lived. Okay, this buy momentum we see here might be short-lived, and then we would most likely have a sell into this zone. All right, most likely just tap into this zone and then come back into this zone, and then we can find double trade setups. All right, we can take the buy, we can take the sell. Right, so we also need to put Euro AUD on our watch list. Okay, put up Euro AUD on our watch list. All right. I would have shown you Euro GBP, but permit me because of time, I'll probably not be able to show you Euro GBP. But just before we go, let me show you AUD CHF. What I can then do is that I would most likely be making analysis videos for you within the week. Okay, as most of these assets that I'm analyzing comes really close, I'll just be making the analysis for you and also be setting that up. Okay, so yeah, that's what I can do. Okay, so AUD is also another sweet and amazing pair that I want to be looking at. There's already a buy confirmation on the weekly time frame, so I would most likely be searching for a buy to happen. Okay, on the weekly time frame. Okay, but then on the daily time frame, that we have also seen sort of like a little market structure shift, okay, reversal pattern happen, but it's not so clear. So that's why I would love to scale down to the 4 hourly time frame. Okay, now on the scale 4 hourly time frame, it becomes really clear that we saw a sweep of liquidity, the sell side liquidity being purged here as market rushed down, and then this is the last major swing high point. All right, market has shifted structure, and then of course here we have the structural liquidity that protected this one. So we're expecting that most likely prices should retrace back, all right, into this level here. I think I refined up to 1 hour level, all right. I refined up to the 1 hour zone, okay. So yes, 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 yes. So most likely I'm expecting that price should fall into this level here, pick us up and begin to go up above. All right. So if that happens, we can be looking at almost achieving 1:12 RR. Okay, 1:12 risk to reward. But that being said, okay, that being said, another thing to note on this AUD trade is the fact that the structural liquidity is placed really, really close to this low here. All right. So that simply means that I would be looking at, okay, this O level here. All right, anything that is not below my discounted price level, I'm not going to be taking the trade. Okay, anything that is not around this my discounted price level, that's why I'm not going to flinch as price is currently trading not in my discount level. You can see above the 50%. I'm not going to bother myself. But when prices come into this zone, anything I find around this zone, I could use to most likely find confluences to take a buy position on AUD CHF. All right, so guys, I've basically talked about Euro USD, GBP USD. I've talked about AUD CHF. I've also talked about a lot more other ones. Now, there are still so many pairs that I have analyzed and I wish to share with you all the trade setups, boy, like time will fail me and I don't want this video to be too long. All right. So thank you so much, guys. And if you are looking forward to the other pairs and my thought and analysis on them, please do well to go to the description. Also, you will see the link to our Telegram. Click on the link and get to our Telegram and just remain calm and stay tuned because I'm gonna be sharing all these setups with you all. Okay, and as they play out, when it triggers, when I enter the trade, I'm going to be sharing all of that with you. It's going to be an amazing and profitable week, and also the remaining part of July, I'm really optimistic. It's going to be a very, very profitable a very, very profitable week for us. Then the last but not the least before you go is if you're yet to sign up an account with our recommended broker Equity please do so. You can also find the registration link in the description of this video. Okay, so just go ahead, sign up an account, and let's get you on board the best broker currently in the world, and let's get you started in our profitable community. All right, bye. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next video.